Hey, I'm Adam, and today in our series of videos I'm going to show you how to cut in an electric door strike. So today we're going to be working with it is a Hess, also known as Asa Abloy 1600 CS. This is, at least in my opinion, the gold standard of electric strikes. They've been around a long time. It's a quality product. The fitment is really good, and it's not a hard lock to install. So inside this box in the kit, you're going to get, of course, the electric strike, a series of mounting plates that will go into the door. We're only going to use one of these, by the way. This surround plate, what this does is it lets you cheat a little bit. Wherever you're cutting in, if you don't get your cut absolutely perfect, this is going to give us a couple of millimeters around all of the edges to cover up the space between where we cut and the lock. You've also got your plugs, which will allow you to do two things. One, it sets the voltage, and two, it allows you to have a quick disconnect for unplugging the lock for service. And you've got some screws and an Allen wrench and your instructions. So let's go over to the door frame and get started. Our door frame now, and all I've done so far is I've removed the plate that was installed here originally with the lock set, so that's out of the way, and I have covered the frame here with some painter's tape. It's a good idea for a couple of reasons. One, it lets you make marks on stuff, and if you have to move your marks around, you're not going to be marking up the door frame. It's also going to help when we start cutting to keep some of the debris off the rest of the door frame. So, good thing to do. What we're going to start with is we're going to hold this up to our door frame, and this is right on where this lock is going to sit once it's flushed in. So I don't know, maybe back set into the frame like a 1/16 in this direction. And I've got it lined up right in between these two screw holes. That's where it's going to mount. And I am mostly concerned right now with the depth into the door frame that we're going to be cutting. So I'm just going to go ahead and hold this in place with one hand, and I'm going to take a felt tip pen and we're going to mark on our door frame where this lock hits. Alright, so you can see our markings here, and all I'm going to do now is just take a ruler out, and I'm going to connect those markings with a ruler. Alright, couldn't find a ruler, but that's okay. I've got a nice straight edge here. Okay. We're ready to start cutting. My cutting tool of choice is a Dremel saw max. I have a metal grinding disc on here, and there's a lot of different tools that you can use. I like the Sawmax. It's fairly compact, so fits in the toolbox a little bit easier than some larger stuff. It's got a guide you can line up against things if you're cutting with templates for a nice straight edge. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to start by going along these horizontal lines, and then we'll come back and do the verticals. Put our safety glasses on here. Now we've got a good cut into our drywall there. We've got a stud over here that's going to get in the way, so we're going to need to do some cutting there, and we've got some drywall here in the frame that is also going to get in the way. So we're probably going to switch over to the smaller Dremel here in just a minute and see if we can clean up the rest of that. Back with kind of our standard Dremel tool here. Again, it has a metal grinding wheel on it, which is not the best thing for drywall, but it's going to go through it fine, and we're going to need it when we get to some of the metal stud that's over here. Alright, kind of scored this enough. I should be able to pop this drywall piece out, get that out of the way. Rubber along. So I want to see how much more of this I need to take out. So basically everything flush to that line. Okay. Nice looking cutout there. Let's see how we did. So we're actually up against the lock frame here a little bit. Was not expecting that. So we're going to need to take off just a little bit of this edge. All right. All right. I've worked the inside a little bit with a hammer. Whew. Might be a little deep. I hope our trim plate is going to take care of that. But you can see this is now a real good fit. We have all the edges here covered. So I think that's going to line everything up quite nicely. I'm going to peel this tape off and we'll throw our trim on. We've got our trim plate here. This just attaches with 2 screws on the top or bottom. Not a whole lot to that. I'm just going to slide this in. A little bit of paint coming off there, but that's okay. And it's a pretty decent fit. We are maybe just a little bit deep there, but it's not too bad. A little bit of touch-up paint there on the frame, and that will look just fine. After we get all of our cables pulled, we'll apply voltage here, and we'll check where the lock sits within the strike here. There are some spacers that come with this that we may or may not need to lay along this edge. The idea is so that the latch bolt is resting right up against the frame of this unit. So we might need to add those, we might not. We'll see after we get the wiring run. All right, we're back down, finishing the electric strike here. And what I've got coming down here is banana wire. People call it banana wire because you peel it back and it's got a bunch of smaller wires inside it, and it's usually yellow. Mine's white, but banana wire, very common for security installs because you need a lot of different conductors all in the same place, all going back to your access control panel. And banana wire makes that really easy. So we've got power for our mag locks down some larger conductors here. We've got our request, let's see, this request to exit. We've got 4 22 gauge conductors inside here. Yep. And then we've got door sensor wires. That's usually just a 2 conductor for a magnetic switch here. And here we have our door control. This is going to be, I want to say 5 conductors. Sorry, 5 conductors for the reader. It's going to be that last one. I need all these wires right around here. I got really lucky in this design because my door frame is right up against my reader here. So I just drilled a small hole through what was left of the metal stud, and that hole is just going to let me pass a wire straight through here to power that strike. So I'm going to take all my cables here and I'm going to tape these together, and as you can see, I've got a pull string hanging out. Maybe you can't see it, but there's a pull string down there. Well, right, so I have passed my multi-conductor control cable down the wall here, and I've got what's going to be strike power here, and this will be the reader panel for the weekend data, and this is a door open sensor. I don't have one. It's in the cable bundle, so we're just going to tuck that one back inside. I've got here the connector pack to go with the strike, and there are 2 connectors in here. You will see that they are labeled very clearly 24 volt and 12 volt. We are using a 12 volt system, so I'm just going to toss the other one back in the bag. Comes with these, I call them dolphin connectors. I don't believe in dolphin connectors. I like to solder everything. So we're going to be soldering this on. Why do I like to solder everything? Well, in all the years that I've been doing any electrical connections, car audio, especially car audio, because it just vibrates all the time as you're driving, I have had countless butt connections, splice connections, anything that relies on a mechanical crimp of any sort come loose. And I have never had a solder joint on a wire break loose ever. So I like soldering. Wrap these connections with electrical tape. Get there. Through the hole that I drilled. And there's my lock connection. Tuck that back inside there. Okay. I'm going to put I call it the plate cover on. Comes with a selection of them, and the cutout is in a slightly different place on all of these depending on your lock style. I think that this plate is the one that's going to match up with our lock. Pretty sure that's the one, but we're going to check it here by letting the door close. So there's our plate cover, there's our hole for the latch bolt, and there's a little bit of play, I think, on our latch resting here. So we're going to put power on the strike to get the strike to release, and we're probably going to try and put one spacer onto this piece.